Hi, I went to the cinema last weekend and caught the opening day of John Wick Chapter 4, the latest in the series of action, semi fantasy thrillers starring Keanu Reeves. The setup continues from the previous movies that Wick is a former assassin drawn back into this global criminal underworld of rituals and rites, initially trying to avenge the murder of the dog that was bequeathed to him by his late wife as a way of comforting him through his grief. By the end of that film, he's murdered a sect of a Russian crime family that then tries to take revenge on him in the second film. That ends with him committing the cardinal sin of the criminal world of committing business on the neutral ground of the Continental Hotel, meaning that the entire world is now after him. And having taken his fight to the high table, the ruling elite, in the fourth film, they are now taking their pursuit on him, having assigned a mysterious French nobleman the task of using any means necessary to take down John Wick as he in return fights for his life. It's an epic story. It unfolds across countries. We begin with in the desert. There's battles in New York. Much of the film takes place in Paris and in Japan. It's absolutely filled with stuff. Um, I've enjoyed particularly the um, world building of this complex criminal underworld with all its old fashioned computers and rights and obligations and rituals. Um, but the showpiece of the movies is the fights and the action. So we have a lengthy fight sequence taking place amid a giant traffic jam around the Arc de Triomphe, with characters being picked off by passing motorists. There's a lengthy fight up the stairs to the Sacre Coeur Cathedral. We have a fight around a Japanese hotel. All of it beautifully shot, beautifully choreographed. But the film is also steeped in um, its own history of cinema history. There's a moment that is a deliberate nod to Lawrence of Arabia. Um, there's nods as far back as Buster Keaton. Um, there we have Donnie Yen, one of the great um, martial arts performers of the day, as a nominal antagonist, a blind martial artist named Kane, who is potentially John Wick's nemesis, but who nevertheless holds him in very high regard. And this follows on from other lesser known but very talented action stars such as Mark Dacascos or Scott Adkins in this film, being cast in supporting roles and getting showcases in a major big budget production. Um, the film runs 2 hours and 49 minutes, and that is quite long for an action movie. It's almost longer than is reasonable. But unlike, say, No Time to Die, which is the same length, I found this to be thoroughly engaging and interesting, and it has character elements which are actually nicely underplayed but work and are relevant to the story. Keanu Reeves continues to be one of the great leading men of contemporary cinema. He is likable and charming, even when he is this very closed down, uncommunicative type. He can say so much with so little. Um, no one watches the John Wick films because they are great cinema, but they are great cinema. They're tremendously entertaining. This one in particular. The only drawback I would say is that um, with a film like this, it's hard to see how the series can go any further. Um, I know that a spin off is currently in development called Ballerina, potentially starring Anna de Armas, finally getting the action franchise she's richly earned. Um, Potentially starring, or co starring rather, Keanu Reeves and Lance Reddick. But we'll see um, if this is a last hurrah because there's no distance left to run. Then it certainly goes out on a high.